Hello everyone and welcome back to the Beer Junkies. Today we are brewing an Oktoberfest. The Oktoberfest has a rich malty base with a clean bitterness. Stick with us and we are going to walk you through the malts we use, the hops we use, the yeast strain, and the water profile. Also going to walk you through our mashing profile, mash out, sparging, the boil, whirlpool, knockout, the fermentation profile, and then at the very end we will walk you through our taste testing. So let's get started. Before we get started, I had a couple of quick announcements for you guys. First off, I am very excited to announce that we have released our very first ebook. It is available on the Amazon store. It is called The Art of Beer Design, and we walk you through how to choose the perfect malts, water profiles, hops, yeast strains, just like we do in these videos, but a little bit more in depth to help better your recipe design process. We also walk you through 10 of our favorite recipes. We have an off flavor guide and a troubleshooting guide just to help cover that whole span of recipe design. It is a free with Kindle Unlimited, or you can purchase it for $9.99 through the Amazon store. Second, our friend John over at Just Homebrew just released his collaboration video with us where he brewed our German Kolsch recipe. I sent him a bottle of mine, he sent me a bottle of his, and we taste tested and compared, and spoiler alert, it was excellent. So go and check those out. I've linked both the book and his collaboration videos in the comments or the description below. But without further ado, let's get started on that Oktoberfest. The Oktoberfest is more of an amber style with an SRM of around 11, so we are going to want to shoot for around 50 parts per million of calcium, 15 parts per million of sodium, 75 parts per million of sulfate, and 65 parts per million of chloride. I'll get there by adding calcium chloride, gypsum, and Epsom salt to both the mash tun and the hot liquor tank. I'll make sure to mix those in very well. And this will give us a balanced amber beer. Right now, I've got the hot liquor tank filling up to the right volume and temperature. Once that's there, I'm going to push all that strike water into the mash tun to mash in. Before that, let me show you a grain bill. The grain bill for this Oktoberfest has 6 malts, so it's probably the most complex grain bill we've given you so far. The base malts we use are Vienna malt, Munich malts, and Pilsen malts. The Vienna and Munich malts will add those malty, bready, toasty flavors, while that Pilsen will cut that back just a little bit. So for the Vienna, we're going to go in with about 35% of the grain bill. The Munich and Pilsen are split right between 23% each. For the specialty malts, we use a Crystal 40 malt, Victory, and Melanoidin. For the Crystal 40, keep that one light, right around 5% of the whole grain bill. We don't want to add any caramel flavor, but I do want that color adjustment and a touch of sweetness. So 5% of Crystal 40 is perfect. We also add 7% of Victory and 7% of Melanoidin. Both of those will bump up the toasty and malty notes that I really want to shine through. The mash tun is ready, so let's mash in. All of the grains are mixed in, so now we are recirculating our mash. We are pulling it from the bottom of the mash tun through the false bottom, pushing it through our wort pump, going into the lower part of the harms coil, coming out of the upper part of the harms coil to maintain our temperature, which is then recirculating through here. That will set up our grain bed filter, which will help during sparging and mash out. We will mash this at 152 degrees for 60 minutes. Once we reach that 60-minute mark, we will begin to heat it up to 168 degrees for mash out. We just finished our 60-minute mash, so now we are going through mash out. It is the same setup, pulling the wort from the bottom of the mash tun, pushing it through our wort pump and into the harms coil. But now we are heating up the hot liquor tank to 176, 177. That will raise the temperature of our mash tun up to about 168 degrees over the course of 15 minutes. We're already almost there at 159, so it's working its way up. Once we get to 168 degrees, we will begin to sparge. We just got to 168 degrees, so now we are mashing out. We are pulling wort from the mash tun the same as before, but now I added this hose and switched the valve over here, so instead of recirculating through the harms coil, I am pushing it into the boil kettle down here. At the same time, I am pulling the sparge water from the hot liquor tank, pushing it through our water pump. I also moved this hose over, so instead of filling up, it is now going through the sparge ring and rinsing all the residual sugars that are left in those grains. We will continue to sparge until we get to our final gravity, or our wort going in drops to 1.008 specific gravity. But once we finish sparge, we will start to bring it up to a boil. We are just about at boiling. We're at about 210 degrees. So once we get up to boiling, we will boil it for 90 minutes and add the hops as needed. And speaking of hops, let's talk about which ones we are going to use. These are the hops that we use. We use German Mittelfrüh hops, just a classic German noble hop. We add about 14 IBUs worth at 60 minutes, and then we add about 5 to 6 IBUs worth at the 30-minute mark. This will give us a very, very light, spicy herbal flavor. Not much in the aroma, but we also don't want much in the aroma. So this is what we use. You can use any German noble hop though. We just finished the boil, so now we are whirlpooling, pulling the wort from the bottom of the boil kettle through the racking arm, pushing it through the pump and then into the tangential input. This will pull all of the proteins, hops, everything else we don't want to transfer over to the center of that boil kettle so we can transfer over clean wort. We just finished the whirlpool, so now we are going through knockout, pulling wort from the bottom of the boil kettle, pushing it through our heat exchanger. That is our oxygen injection point. The temperature is a little bit warm, so we're going to knock that down a little bit for the lager yeast. But once we are done, we'll take a specific gravity reading and then pitch the yeast. This is the yeast that we use. It is the German lager yeast from White Labs. It will just promote a clean, crisp lager that will help accentuate those toasty, malty notes. We just finished knockout. We knock out the Oktoberfest at about 48 degrees Fahrenheit, and we let this free rise up to about 54 degrees and hold it there throughout fermentation. Once we get to about 4 specific gravity points within our final gravity, we will let it free rise up to between 66 to 72 degrees Fahrenheit for that diacetyl rest. We'll hold it there for about a week to make sure it's completely done, and then we will step it down 4 degrees a day until we get to 33 degrees. We slowly step it down to prevent that yeast from being shocked and falling out of solution too quickly. We really want it to have that full lagering effect afterwards. So once we get it to 33 degrees, we will transfer it to our bright tank, carbonate it to about 2.5 volumes, keg it, and then let it lager for 12 weeks. And then after that 12 weeks is done, you can tap it. We're going to wait until the Oktoberfest celebration, which is traditionally late September. But once it's ready, you are able to drink it and enjoy. All right, this is what we have. I won't lie to you guys. I cheated a little bit. Fermentation is done, and I cold crashed it and carbonated it, but it has not lagered for the allotted time. So I'm expecting it to still taste very closely to what it's going to taste like, but it probably will not be quite as clean as it will be when it goes on tap in September. But for the taste test, for the smell, I get the bready and the maltiness. The rich maltiness, a little bit of toasty notes in there too for the taste. It's very similar to the smell where I get the maltiness and the toastiness. There is a balancing bitterness. I wouldn't say that it's harsh by any means. Just enough to take away the sweetness. It is pretty clean for only having fermented and carbonated for about 3 weeks, but I can't wait to try this in September. We're over the age of 21. We do not condone underage drinking. Please drink responsibly. Cheers. If you would like to see more brewing content like this, make sure you click that subscribe button right below, and please let me know what you'd like to see next in the comments. Cheers.